This is Trae from Mouth for War, and you're listening to my chapter of As the Story Grows.
Welcome to the next chapter of As the Story Grows. I'm Brian Patton. This week, we welcome Trae Roberts from Mouth of War to the podcast. Mouth of War just released their debut record, Life Casting Glass, on 1126 Records. It's an absolutely crushing hardcore album, and I recommend giving it a spin. Trae talks about his first attempt at being a hardcore frontman, Bruise, and the move to Colorado that broke that band up, and the tragedy that is at the heart of Life Casting Glass. So I hope you guys enjoy getting to know Trae Roberts from Mouth of War. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. Excited to be talking about the record and whatnot.
Yeah, it's exciting. I only heard the one track, but it's awesome, and I listened to the EP, so I'm a fan.
Excellent. So, thank you.
Yeah. So let's just start. I know you're currently in Colorado, but is that where you're from originally?
No, actually, about half of us moved here from Indiana almost 2 years ago today.
Yeah. What? So you grew up in Indiana?
Yeah.
We'll get to the transition later. What was growing up like?
In Indiana, it sucked. It's not a place for anyone to be, which is why I'm here now. I would rather later in life raise my children and finish my life out here, not in the cornfields anymore.
Yeah. What got you into music?
A lot of different aspects. I was kind of a shitty person as a kid for sure. And in a town a little on the other side of Indiana, I met a few friends when I would stay with my grandma that would play music, and they were in high school and whatever. And I had never been able to find a group of people to play music with. So after getting in trouble nonstop in my hometown, I finally convinced my mom, like, I will be so much better off here doing this thing with these people that I've met. Yeah. And yeah, ever since then, I probably about 12 or 13 years old when I joined that band with those guys, and that's been it from there.
Oh, that's awesome. Were you already a fan of like hardcore underground, or what was your like musical introduction from a fan standpoint?
As far as my musical introduction to heavy stuff, it would probably be a lot more of like the metalcore side of things. Okay. That is what we're kind of trying to bring back into our new album, actually. Mostly from my older brother playing shit that I hated at first and ended up being some of my favorite things.
That's awesome. Did you ever play an instrument, or were you just always like drawn to the frontman aspect of?
I actually write everything. So yeah, okay. I play a little bit of everything.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. What was I'm just going to assume you're younger than me. You look like you're younger than me. So I assume at that point, hardcore is more far-reaching across the states, but what was the scene like there in Indiana?
Indiana does not really have a hardcore scene per se, but I can say that I've always been stoked that they had just a round music scene where a lot of different kinds of bands could come together. Like our drummer and I's old band Bruise is from there. We played kind of like a metallic hardcore sound, but we would always play shows with emo bands and stuff. Just everything kind of lumps together there. So
that's cool. What was that band you joined when you said you were 12?
The first band that I was in, we were called Now or Never. We mostly did like Blink-182 covers and stuff to start off until we figured out how to write our own music and work into that.
That's awesome. There's like a theme of like younger bands, the importance of Blink-182 and all these Blink-182 cover bands.
But yeah, I feel that's where so many people started for sure. And I'll say that's top 2 favorite bands for me of all time.
So you were in Now or Never. What was your transition through bands and into Bruise? Because you guys were on Unbeaten Records, Equal Vision's little sister label. What was that evolution like?
Just kind of my evolution into heavy music from playing pop punk and stuff. I actually, that Now or Never band became Happy Hazard when we were later got a little older and we're playing all originals. And we played at a church with some random band that I had never heard that was from a few towns over, and they played some heavier stuff. And I randomly started hanging out with them a lot, and they started a metalcore band, which I had never thought about playing in something like that. I've always enjoyed, like back then I listened to like Asking Alexandria and The Devil Wears Prada and stuff. So I was like, heck yeah, these guys are sick. They're rocking out. And then one day they just asked me to play bass, and it just kind of moved from there. I played in that band Archives for a while until I met the drummer of Mouth for War now, and they played in a different band. Randomly they were about to go to the studio, and he said, can you sing for us, dude? Our vocalist is just like, we had to kick him out. And I'm like, shit, like, yeah, I guess. I've never done, like, I've yelled and stuff before, like in the background of Archives and stuff, but never even considered taking full on like frontman capabilities. And I guess that was where it all started.
And that was in studio.
Exactly. Yeah, they woke me up because I was just an unhealthy piece of crap. I said, let me drink a Mountain Dew really quick and I'll run in the booth. And they were like, man, who is this guy?
Oh, man. What was that like for you that first time? Like, was it a struggle? Was it tough? Or
it was definitely a struggle at first when I also never even being in a real studio at the time. They were just like, yeah, just go run in that booth over there. Like, we won't be able to see you or anything. I was like, oh, weird. And I know they all told me afterwards, because I started at first and the guy stopped it, and they was like, that sounded really bad. And I was like, oh shit. Well, give me a couple times. And after just a few tries, I just like knocked all the songs out. But I definitely didn't know how to get my voice to project when I first walked in there.
So that's something you had to grow into. It wasn't like natural, like, okay, I can do this.
Definitely.
How'd you guys get hooked up with Unbeaten Records?
Honestly, I think we were just putting out a 3-song promo or something for Bruce at the time, and who think No Victory at the time, which is one of the only other bands from not our part of Indiana, but they're technically from Indiana. So I was just like, hey, this guy knows what Indiana is. Nobody else does. So maybe I'll send him our music and maybe he'll reply. And me and Buddy actually became pretty decent friends. And the guy definitely taught me a lot of things that I didn't know coming into being on a real label and stuff like that. And it was awesome working with that guy. I love that label. A lot of good bands. Good dude.
Another day with the lack of strength. My spirit, raise my body.
It seemed like you put that record out with them and then you guys kind of just broke up.
Yeah, that wasn't planned at all. At the time, I was definitely very sad about how that went down. As like that was around the time when we knew some of us were going to move out here. We thought all of us were going to move out here at the time. And then that was just a dysfunctional band. Honestly, we were all little poop heads in there, and it just didn't end up working out. Somebody wanted to leave, and then somebody else was like, well, I don't want to tour. And we're like, well, we're moving. I'm just going to start another band. And I guess that just ended up being what needed to happen anyways.
What made you want to move out to Colorado, make that transition?
Playing in Bruise, actually, we played out here. The very first time we came out here, there was an avalanche warning, and we were stuck in Utah overnight. And I told our friend Brian that promotes shows here, it's like, we can't drive through this, dude. Like, it's a door split on a Wednesday. Like, I don't know anybody in this place. We're like really stressed. And he was like, okay, that's fine. Like, we had already dropped the show. And then one of my good friends now, Connor, he just kept messaging me. He's like, dude, I don't think you realize how many people like are actually going to come. Like, it's going to be so worth it. Like, he just wouldn't stop bugging me. And I was like, dude, fuck it. If we wake up tomorrow and it's not scary, we'll truck it through the mountains and try to get there. And we did. We made it. It was snowing like crazy when we got here. Connor bought all of us food, and we got into the show, and there were already people there 2 hours before doors trying to buy our merch and stuff.
Oh, wow.
And it literally just packed out through the night. And we felt like we like literally belonged here from the second we got here. Everybody was just talking to us. We met everybody at the same time and made a crap ton of money on a door split. And we came here probably 3 more times actually after that. And finally, I think at the time we were talking about moving to Louisville because we all wanted to get out of Indiana anyways. And somebody was like, hey, you guys just want to move here? And everybody looked, we were like, yeah, let's just do that. And then we just did like a year later.
Yeah, it felt like a second home and more receptive to what you're doing and in the band.
Exactly. Every time we came here, we were proving that like another time, just playing at different venues and just constantly meeting people that just really liked what we were doing. And it does become kind of hard when you're in a band that's actually from nowhere, like a place that doesn't necessarily have a scene that's made for the kind of music you are. So I think that's also what had a big jump in Mouth of War happening so fast when I got out here.
But you said everybody didn't want to move out there. So
yeah,
those of you that did still want to play music. Now you have no band and you just met other people and started Mouth for War.
Yeah, pretty much. When Mouth of War first started, there was one extra person that moved out here with me that it just didn't work out. It was our bassist that we recently replaced for another member of Remain and Sustain, which I've mentioned before. One of their guys is already in our band, so now we got half of them.
What led to, you said you worked on writing a lot of the music. What led to the sound transition? Because Mouth for War is definitely heavier and more aggressive in your face than Bruise was.
For sure. I think a little bit towards the end of writing Grief Ritual for Bruise, I was working into a little bit of that sound, a little bit more aggressive and not just straight up like metallic as Bruise was. And I guess I just Bruise breaking up just became that excuse. I had started like half a song writing Bruise stuff, and almost the second that I found out that we weren't going to be a band, I was like, I'm just going to literally take these songs and I'm going to do anything that I want to do with them now, because this isn't a band. This is whatever it just happens to be. So I just kind of let all my new influences take control and try to work at the new music without much of a vision. I mean, I definitely had an idea, but it was just like, all right, you can do anything now. So I think that's just, I was mad at the time. And I think probably at that time I was going through some really weird stuff in my life. And it just, you could tell it was just a lot angrier than what I was doing before.
Gotcha. How'd you guys get hooked up with 1126 Records?
That's also another kind of funny and random one. It's like the Unbeaten situation. I think right around or after right before we put Out in Ear Kept to the Ground, our drummer was in the band Frost Coffin for a while, and they've got some connections. And Mason met Scott Lee on tour, which is obviously 1126, and had his phone number for pretty much no reason. And none of us knew that guy. Mason met him like once or twice, and we're good friends with I Am. They were on the label at the time before they went to E1. So we just heard people say good things about him. And Mason, we're just sitting at the table doing our thing. He's like, I'm going to send our EP to this dude and see what he says. And he sent it to him, and he called him like 5 minutes later. And he's like, hey, Mason, what's up? Let's do it. Let's go. Let's do a record together. And we're like, oh, are you serious? Like, we've played like 3 shows. And he's like, yep. I want you to just send me a 5-year plan and we'll talk about it. And then hung up, and we were just like, okay, let's go.
Well, you're releasing Life Cast in Glass on May 14th. Talk to me about this record. You dropped the first single of the video, Manifesting You. That's a heavy, not just heavy musically, but like lyrically, it's probably one of my favorite things about heavy music is people are like, well, they're just saying rah rah, and you're just like, no, the lyrics of this song are just heavy. Like, talk to me about that song and this record in general.
That song specifically is, like you said, it's a very heavy lyrically one, but I could say almost from start to finish that with the record, they almost get darker and worse. My sister about a year ago in January was killed in a car accident, and that was around the time that I was about halfway through instrumentals and I was starting to write lyrics, and that was all I could do. It wasn't a choice. That was all I could write about. It's all I wanted to write about. And so I made this entire record for my sister. So I think you can tell in every single song that you can feel my pain in all those tracks.
Yeah. Yeah. That's tough. You said you were writing in January. Did COVID affect releasing this album and getting it out?
I've thought about that, and in ways it did, and in ways it didn't. It would be great to be releasing this record after a whole year and a half of hitting the road hard like we always would.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if I wouldn't have been stuck in my house and literally just wanting to die the whole time, I don't think these songs would sound like this.
Okay.
So it's kind of a bittersweet, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I assume you're looking forward to getting out there and playing these songs live. And is it like therapeutic for you to like express these feelings in this way?
Yes.
As like
absolutely.
grief processing and just like outside of just remembrance of your sister, but just like to just express this pain not every night because you're not touring right now, but
yeah, no, truly just with the times that we've been able to just practice the songs, or we've had we did like a live set for our other friend that we also lost during COVID. We did like a benefit set for him, and I can definitely say that I can feel the power in the songs, and I know that when it comes time to play the songs every night, it's gonna be really hard, and that's gonna be what's gonna make it extremely intense, though.
Yeah.
So I'm just embracing it. I'm embracing all the hardships and just trying to make the best of it. But it absolutely is the only thing that has helped me get through this, and as in a therapeutic way.
What's your hopes for later this year? I mean, the record's coming out in 2 months, or a month. I guess a month now, close to a month now. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
just
true.
over. Yeah. Damn. What's your hopes for this year, that you'll be able to get out and tour? Or?
Yeah, we definitely hope that. I know that most of the industry is expecting to come back by the fall time, and I know that our agent and Scott also expect that, and we pretty much told him, man, we just want to play these songs for anyone, anywhere. You tell us and we'll go play there. That's how we've always been. We know that that's what it takes for anybody to know who you are, and we'll live on the road if that's what it takes when it comes time to get back out there.
That's cool. Are you guys planning any sort of like special live stream show for the album release, or you're just going to wait till you can do it in front of people?
I think we might do something like that. We've talked about it. I think we've done 2 before. They both went decently, but now that we have some new material to play, we think people will be a little more interested. And it's kind of fun to set up a production like that from the studio. So we're probably going to do something like that maybe a few weeks after the record or so.
That's cool. You're releasing the album on CD and cassette. Was that a label choice?
Yeah, I think the label typically does CDs all the time, but we've just always liked cassettes. They just look cool. I mean, I don't even feel like most people listen to them unless you have one of those people like me with a super old car. But we've always Bruise always got cassettes for every release, so I was like, we should do this because people always love the tapes. I think with how well things are going, that we will press some vinyl when that time actually comes, which I think a lot of people have asked about.
The name Mouth for War, is that a Pantera reference, or? Yeah,
that's where it came from.
Manifesting you, take on your shape. Wish I could say it'd be the last time I feel like this. The burning
Thanks for listening to As the Story Grows. Our theme song was written and composed by the legendary Bob Nana. If you like what you hear, subscribe on iTunes and give the show a rating and review. If you'd like to support the show financially, click on the Patreon link at asthestorygrows.com. If you enjoyed this episode, share it on social media with your friends. Much appreciated, and thanks for listening.
I'll never stop.